New Year's Eve was supposed to be loud, warm, and full of light. Instead, it found me alone on a frozen highway, counting down the final minutes of the year with a sense of dread I couldn't explain. Snow drifted lazily across the road, not enough to stop traffic, just enough to make everything feel muted and unreal. My phone showed 11:42 p.m. I was late, tired, and eager to get home before midnight. The road cut through miles of empty land. No houses, no gas stations, no streetlights, just trees and darkness. I turned the radio on for company, a countdown show crackling through static. The host laughed, talking about fresh starts and second chances. I turned it down. The silence felt safer. That's when I noticed the car ahead of me. It was far enough away to be vague, its shape blurred by falling snow. A dark sedan, moving slower than it should. Its brake lights flickered on and off, not in response to the road, but almost rhythmically. I slowed down, keeping my distance. Something about it made my stomach tighten. At 11:50 p.m., the sedan pulled over to the side of the road. I hesitated. Every instinct told me to keep driving, but the road conditions were bad, and the idea of someone being stranded this late gnawed at me. Against my better judgment, I pulled over a safe distance behind it and turned on my hazards. The snow fell harder now, thickening the silence. I waited. No door opened. No movement. I stepped out of my car, the cold biting instantly through my jacket. My boots crunched softly as I approached, my breath fogging the air. "Hey," I called out, my voice sounding thin and small. "You okay?" No response. I was close enough now to see inside the sedan. It was empty. No driver, no passengers. No keys in the ignition. Just darkness and an unnatural stillness. Like the car had been abandoned for years instead of minutes. A wave of unease washed over me, sharp and sudden. Behind me, my car door slammed shut. I spun around. I was sure I'd left it open. The radio inside my car turned on by itself, the volume rising. The countdown host's voice returned, distorted and warped. 10 minutes remaining. It said, but the clock on my phone still read 11:50 p.m. The sedan's headlights snapped on. I stumbled back, heart hammering. The engine started with a low growl, even though no one was inside. Slowly, deliberately, the sedan pulled back onto the road and began driving forward away from me. Panic took over. I ran back to my car, jumped in, and slammed the door. My hand shook as I started the engine and followed, keeping my distance. The sedan didn't speed up or slow down. It stayed just far enough ahead that I couldn't stop watching it. The clock changed. 11:59 p.m. The radio crackled again. 1 minute, the host whispered now, his voice no longer cheerful. "Make your wish." The sedan's brake lights flared red. It stopped in the middle of the road. I slammed on my brakes, tires skidding slightly on the ice. My heart felt like it might tear itself out of my chest. I looked around wildly, searching for any sign of life, any escape. The sedan's driver's side door opened. Something stepped out. It looked human at first, tall, thin, wrapped in dark clothing, but its movements were wrong. Too stiff, too delayed, as if reality itself was struggling to keep up with it. It turned toward me, and the snow seemed to stop falling around it. Its face was pale, cracked, and empty. The radio began counting down aloud. 5, 4. The thing started walking toward my car. 3. I locked the doors, my breath coming in ragged gasps. 2. It reached my headlights. 1. Every light went out. The engine died. The radio cut to static. The world vanished into pitch black. Then, silence. When the lights came back, I was alone. The sedan was gone. The road was empty. The snow fell gently again, as if nothing had happened. My clock read 12:01 a.m. Shaking, I drove the rest of the way home without stopping, without looking back. The next morning, I told myself it was stress, fatigue, a trick of the night. But every New Year's Eve since then, at exactly 11:59 p.m., my radio turns on by itself, and the countdown voice whispers, "Make your wish." I've always hated New Year's Eve fireworks. Everyone else hears celebration. I hear warnings. The night this happened only proved why. I was working the late shift at a small hotel just outside the city. Nothing fancy to floors, flickering hallway lights, and a lobby that smelled faintly of bleach and old carpet. Most guests had already checked in for the night, planning to celebrate downtown. By 11:30 p.m., the building felt hollow, like it was holding its breath. Fireworks started early. Distant pops echoed through the cold air, flashing faint colors through the lobby windows. I watched them between paperwork, counting the minutes until midnight so I could finally lock the doors and ride out the rest of the shift in silence. At 11:47 p.m., the automatic front doors slid open. No one was there. I frowned, walked over, and stepped just outside. The parking lot was empty, snow crunching under my shoes. I chalked it up to the motion sensor glitching and went back inside. That's when the first firework went off directly overhead. The sound was wrong. It wasn't loud, it was deep, like something exploding underwater. The windows rattled violently, and the lights flickered. I glanced at the security monitor, expecting to see a crowd gathering outside. Instead, every camera showed the same thing. Empty hallways, empty stairwells, empty parking lot, except for one feed. Camera 6, pointed at the second floor east hallway, showed someone standing at the far end, tall, still, facing the camera. My stomach twisted. The hotel was fully booked, but no one should have been standing there, unmoving, in the dark. I grabbed the radio. Hello. My voice echoed weakly through the lobby speakers. The figure didn't react. Another firework boomed closer this time. The lights dimmed, then steadied. When I looked back at the monitor, the figure was gone. A soft knock echoed from somewhere inside the building. Then another. And another. They weren't coming from the doors. They were coming from the walls. I backed away from the desk, heart racing. As the knocking grew louder, more coordinated, like someone pacing, tapping as they moved. The radio crackled to life on its own, switching channels rapidly until it landed on a countdown broadcast. 10 minutes until the new year, the host said cheerfully. My phone buzzed. No signal. Outside, fireworks began going off nonstop, one after another, filling the sky with color that didn't fade. The explosions overlapped, stretching unnaturally long, as if time itself was stuttering. The elevator dinged. The display above it read, 2. The doors slid open slowly. The elevator was empty, but the smell hit me immediately, cold air mixed with something old and metallic. The floor indicator flickered, then changed to 0, even though I was already on the ground floor. Footsteps sounded behind me. I turned. The lobby was empty, but the security monitors all switched at once to show the same image. The figure, now closer, standing right behind the front desk right where I was standing. I spun back around. Nothing. The radio began counting down again, slower now. 5 minutes. The knocking returned, louder than before, synchronized with the fireworks. Every explosion outside matched a strike against the walls inside. I pressed my hands over my ears, my pulse screaming in my head. A voice whispered my name, not from one direction, from everywhere. I ran. I didn't care about protocol or keys or cameras. I sprinted toward the back exit, shoes slipping on the tile. The door wouldn't budge. I slammed into it again and again as the whispering grew clearer, more urgent. Stay, it said. Celebrate with us. The lights went out. Darkness swallowed the lobby, broken only by flashes of color bleeding in through the windows. Fireworks painted the walls in reds and blues that moved like living things. The countdown began again. 10, 9. The security monitors turned back on. Every screen showed the same thing. Now dozens of figures filling the hallways, standing shoulder to shoulder, all facing forward, all smiling. 8, 7. The elevator dinged repeatedly, doors opening and closing on empty darkness. 6. I dropped to the floor, hands over my head, sobbing, begging for it to stop. 3, 2. Silence. The fireworks stopped all at once. The lights snapped back on. The lobby was empty, clean, normal. My phone buzzed again. 12:01 a.m. Happy New Year. I didn't wait for my shift to end. I left the keys on the desk and walked out into the freezing night. Behind me, the hotel stood quiet and still, as if nothing had happened. The next day, the manager called, furious that I'd abandoned my post. He said the security footage showed nothing unusual. No figures, no glitches. Just me, standing alone in the lobby, talking to no one. I don't celebrate New Year's anymore. When midnight comes, I turn off every light and sit in silence, because somewhere, fireworks are still going off, and something is still counting down.